Our next guest is Stephen Levy from Marlborough, Massachusetts, who is running for the senatorial district, the Middlesex and Worcester district, which is roughly half of Sudbury. And we want to welcome him tonight. Stephen's really showed us what he's made of by the work he's done over as a city councilor in Marlborough. And that's essentially the reason that we want to send him to Beacon Hill. So please give a warm welcome for Stephen Levy.
Well, thank you all for coming out tonight. It's great to see everyone. There's a lot of familiar faces. There's a few I don't know. So for those I haven't met, my name is Stephen Levy, and I'm running for the state Senate seat for the Middlesex and Worcester district. This Senate district is made up of 14 towns, including half of Sudbury. It basically runs all the way up 495, up to Acton, Boxborough, Harvard, Shirley area. So it's a big area, a lot of ground to cover. And we've been out working hard, knocking doors. We've already knocked over 7,500 doors here in the district, talking to the residents of Middlesex and Worcester to really, hear what their concerns are. And pretty much we're hearing the same thing. Everyone is tired of wasteful spending here in Massachusetts. And that is the primary reason why I'm running for state senate. As a city councilor in Marlborough, I've worked hard for the residents of our city, trying to control spending, to control taxes. And we've done a good job for the last 3 years, keeping our tax base very stable and really showing that you can control spending and still provide good services. And again, as we're talking to people in the district, we're hearing that as their top concern. Obviously, gas prices and other concerns that we do need to try to address both at the state and the federal level. But their primary concern is about state spending and taxes. If you look at Beacon Hill, the whole process is broken. This past year, the state brought in more than $1 billion in revenue above the projected revenues for the state. And yet our state legislature squandered that $1 billion and then went into the budget process still with another $1 billion anticipated deficit. So what did they do to address that $1 billion deficit? They went behind closed doors. And instead of trying to say, how do we control the spending? What areas are we going to cut back on? How are we going to address this problem? They didn't do that. They walked out of there having spent another $200 million above the amount they had projected when they walked in the door. So they've exacerbated the problem. This isn't how you approach a budget. It's not how you and I approach our budget at home. We realize that we have limited resources, and sometimes we have to decide things we have to do without. Our legislature needs to learn that same lesson. We need to teach fiscal responsibility to the legislature. I want to go to Beacon Hill and bring my experience as an accountant and as a financial manager to do the same thing up there. Another concern of mine is economic development. Massachusetts is the fourth most expensive state in which to do business. We need to make it easier for businesses to come here, to start up, because those businesses bring jobs that employ you and your neighbors, that pay the salaries that we need so we can afford to live here. But we're driving businesses out of Massachusetts. Our legislature, instead of trying to bring businesses here, just passed $600 million in new taxes. Is that going to keep businesses here, or is that going to drive them away even further? I want to go up there and make sure that we're working smartly to bring those businesses here, to bring the jobs here. We need to look at what type of incentives we use. Again, another example of what our legislature's done, they passed a $100 million tax credit to try to bring the film industry here. But if you look at it, when you make an investment like that, you want to make sure that you're getting a return for your investment. The idea is to bring additional revenues to Massachusetts, to make it easier, to make it a better place for all of us. But they spent $100 million to bring these businesses here. But the money that they paid out, that the businesses paid in salaries, were the salaries for the actors who went back to California and spent the money there. It's for the employers, the crews that come here, make the money, but then go spend it somewhere else. So all that money we invested did not do anything to increase business in Massachusetts, to increase revenues here. In fact, the whole process brought in about $23 million in new revenues. So we spent $100 million to make 23. That's not good math, and there's no way to keep the system going. If we're going to invest, we need to invest in smart businesses. We need to invest in good jobs, good paying jobs, so that the residents of Massachusetts can work and can afford to stay here. I also want to work to better protect our children. As a city councilor, I was responsible for drafting a local ordinance that restricted where registered offenders can live and where they can loiter in the city of Marlborough, trying to keep them away from parks and playgrounds, because the laws in Massachusetts are broken. You notice that you can actually commit rape of a child in Massachusetts and never spend a day in jail? Yet our legislature touts the fact, proudly, that they passed Jessica's Law this year. They didn't pass Jessica's Law. They passed a watered-down version that has no teeth whatsoever. We need to take protecting our children seriously. I've shown that I will do that at the local level. I want to go to Beacon Hill and be an advocate for our children. I want to make sure that we pass meaningful laws, that we pass a real version of Jessica's Law, and that we do everything within our power to show that our children are our priorities, not the rights of the criminals, not the defense attorneys, but that our children are our number one priority. I will go to Beacon Hill. I will work to be a voice of fiscal responsibility. I will work to promote economic development here in Massachusetts so that our families, our children's families, can afford to continue to live here. And I will make sure that we pass laws to protect our children. I need your help to do that. On November 4th, I need your vote. So please vote Stephen Levy for State Senate. And thank you very much for all your work. And we look forward to seeing you out there at the polls on November 4th. Thank you so much.